excited to bring a program that's nearing the end, which is fabulous. It began with a real quick, something very unexpected, and I've been a part of it. My only task was to make sure it came in under 50,000, and I think I failed in that. But it's really two or three different things have been accomplished with this, and we have two great people here to present. One is an asset that was over 50 years old. It needed attention anyway. Two is there was a very significant need that needed to be dealt with quickly. And so we were very fortunate, the city and the schools, to already have a relationship with an architect. So one of our speakers, Andy True, assistant school superintendent, and I've known Andy and Brian probably well over 20 years both, and the consistency has been with the schools. Brian Alderson is a senior architect with Thompson and Litton, and through the years he has been with various architectural firms as they've been bought and moved around, but a consistency in it is he has maintained a presence within the school system. One of his very, very first projects he started with, at the time, I think it was Tony Moore,
yep,
was at Sevier. So that project has some years on it, but that tells you he looks very, very young, but he has decades of experience. And so we're very fortunate to have Andy True. We all know Andy, love Andy, and Brian is someone that's probably as integrated into our system. He's just behind the scenes, building the future of our kids' education. Great relationship with Thompson and Litton. So let's please welcome them as they come present the dome.
Thank you, sir. Very nice. Okay. I'm going to start. Which?
Where is I heard something. Check it out. You want this here?
I'll hold it to start. Just see how we do this.
Watch this. There, I got it. Got it?
Got it.
All right.
All right. Got a lot of electronics. Very much. Yeah. Forgive that. Can you hear me okay? Forgive the date. I gave this presentation back at Eastman back in October and forgot to change the date, so I apologize for that. Again, thank you, Ryan. My name is Brian Alderson. I'm a senior architect with Thompson and Litton. I'm just a little bit about me. I'm a University of Tennessee graduate. A good football season, so very happy right now. And my wife and I have been here for 30 years, a little bit over 30 years. She works at Eastman, and my daughter is also a University of Tennessee graduate and also works at Eastman. So we are ingrained in this area. I'm not from here originally. I grew up outside Baltimore originally. So I'm a transplant, but I consider Kingsport home at this point. So as Ryan said, I work at Thompson & Litton. We are a 180-person firm based in Wise, Virginia, with 8 offices in 3 states. And so our local office is in Johnson City, where Ashley and I are based. Ashley Hughes is the project manager who works with me on all this stuff. So we are blessed to be here. Ryan asked if Andy and I could give this presentation, and we're blessed to be here, so we appreciate the opportunity. You want to?
Sure. Yeah, again, Andy True. I am the assistant superintendent for Kingsport City Schools. One of the things that I do in my work is to really, from an operational standpoint, oversee capital projects for the district. So when it comes to things like the dome, it becomes really a priority for me to help lead that work on the district side, help coordinate a lot of folks, not only to work with the architects and the folks from the city, but kind of to marshal the folks on the Kingsport side so that we make sure that the right folks, whether it's your technology, your safety, your all of those administrators on the school side really have a seat at the table, and we're all working together to have a successful completion of the project. So that's really my role in this process.
Sure. So wanted to let you all know who's been involved in this project since the beginning. Many of you know Steve Wilson with Spoden and Wilson. We would have had him here, but we would never get through this presentation if you know Steve Wilson. So facility systems in Knoxville is a mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineer. Foundation Systems, they did a lot of the testing on the building for us. Inspire Business Interiors is assisting with the branding that's going into the project, and then Dome Technology is basically our additional structural engineer. They are dome experts, and they are based in Idaho Falls, Idaho, and we brought them in since they've done hundreds of domes all over the world, and we brought them in to consult on this project. They wound up doing the bulk of the structural design, and then also actually did the construction on the actual roof, the roof repair that we completed. And if anyone has any questions, just raise your hand and we can stop the presentation. We want this to be as interactive as possible. So a little bit about the dome itself. There are some pictures that Steve Wilson provided us. This building was built in between 1965 and 1967. It's predominantly concrete construction. You can see the concrete here. Well, can't see it. So you can see the concrete there in the pictures. The only thing that is wood in this building is the actual roof structural beams, and we had those tested, and those are coastal Douglas fir. And so our company was hired by the City of Kingsport Schools to do a re-roof project on the entire building back 2021, I guess it was. And so a portion of our office was working on the rest of the school, and my piece of the project was the dome. And so having worked on this building in the past, Don Salt, who some of you may know is my mentor, and I've worked with him for a number of years at a couple of different firms. And he had told me that the roof was very, very bouncy. And Steve Wilson had told me that he would question whether we should, as part of the re-roof project, look at adding additional insulation to the top of the building. So as a result of some of the information that I had been told over the years, we decided that we wanted to test the wood members to make sure we did not have any issues. And that started the ball rolling down the hill, which Andy's going to talk to here in a moment. So you can see all the wood members. Like I said, those are coastal Douglas fir. There's about 1,300 pieces of wood up there that support. This is called a lamella dome, and there's only a few of these that were ever built out of wood. And this is one of the only ones that's still standing. So again, 50 years worth, and the roof is wood construction. So that's what the dome looked like before we got started. You can see obviously the basketball court. You can see the bleachers, and you can see the bleachers basically are in that circular design that you see here as part of the project. At the top, you see those boxes at the very top of the seating bowl. Those were the old mechanical units. Obviously, you see the lamella dome roof, and you see the very distinctive light pattern that was in the building. And one of the things that Andy and the folks with the city told us that we needed to concentrate on is, as part of this project, is to make sure that we took the history of this building into account with whatever we did. And so we took that and ran with it. I think we did a pretty good job, and you'll see once here at the end with the pictures. So they wanted to keep as many of the things as possible that make this building unique. Obviously the roof is very unique. And so we have tried to do that as part of this whole project. So many of you saw in the newspaper and other what's it called? Facebook, social media. You saw all the once we found out that we had an issue with the structure, you can see the lattice work of shoring that was provided to support the roof while we were going through this process. This was constructed by Towers Construction, which is based here in Kingsport. And so this was basically the first thing that was put up in place when we found that we had an issue with the overall top of the building. Here's some more pictures of that, where you can see the circular nature of the lattice work of shoring that was going up. Steve Wilson designed this in order to support the rings. And there are basically 6 rings that you see going in a circular pattern all the way around the building. And the top 3 of those rings were supported with this lattice work of shoring. All right, you're up.
Sure. So I think we all have those moments where we talk about, where you were when. My generation, I guess, probably starts with the Challenger. I thought, I was thinking the other night, what are those moments for me that stand out as far as I can do exactly where I was, exactly when? Not necessarily tragedy. Think about, when my daughter was born. I have specific memories in September of 2002 on a rainy Saturday watching the UT Florida game in between contractions with the doctor on the bed, my wife, as our daughter was born. UT lost that day, by the way.
I remember.
So I can tell you exactly where I was on Friday, August 5th, 2022 at 4:44 p.m. And that's not hyperbole. That is exactly when I got the phone call saying we had the report back on the testing that Brian mentioned earlier. And to be proactive, again, as we were going through this roofing project on the dome, we thought, anybody with a lick of sense knows that if you've ever been up in an attic, air gets hot the higher you go, especially if it doesn't circulate. And we have a dome that was finished in 1967. And you talk to any maintenance person who's ever changed a light in the dome, you get up to the top of the dome, it gets real hot. And that's all wood from 1967. And there's no circulation in the air up there. So to be proactive, we thought to ourselves, let's have some testing done, see what the moisture content of the wood is, see if we need to do anything while or during or before we go through this roofing process. So at 4:44 on that Friday afternoon, again, I was at my desk, I get a phone call from Thompson Litton saying, just sent you the email on the report back from this testing and our recommendations. Okay, fine. Open up the email. And the report basically outlines that the moisture content on those upper rings of the wood had decreased to the level, not that we felt like that there was some sort of imminent issue or it was going to somehow collapse, which is a whole other story. Nobody really knows how it would collapse because of the tension. That's another story. But if there was some sort of superseding event, a tornado, an earthquake, a heavy snow load, then we would have some concerns about the stability of the actual structure. And I remember at the time thinking, and why that date is so important and significant in my mind, as I'm reading this report, is because I'm sitting at my desk right across the street here watching these massive thunderstorms roll in at that Friday afternoon. And that afternoon probably means nothing unless you remember, but that was the evening of the first Dobbins-Bennett football scrimmage of 2022. And it was to be a huge event. We were having food. The band was going to perform their show. It was a big community event. So we were trying at that point to decide if we needed to do anything with the schedule for that because it was getting ready to thunderstorm. And so in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to thunderstorm. Are we going to have to go in the dome and what this report we just got and all these other preceding events? We had already decided we were going to probably cancel the event anyway because of the thunderstorms. But all of these things are going through my head as I open this this email at 4:44 on that Friday afternoon. So that really kind of put us into this process that got us to where we are today, which is nearing completion on the dome, and we're really excited to show you photos. But also, we also knew that in the coming weeks, then in late 22, we had basketball season coming up, and we're coming off of the state championship. And we wanted to do right by our community and our kids. And so that then put us in motion at the TAC and getting that ready to, to pull together. And thankfully, we were able to get that through some great community effort to get that facility as well. So really put us in motion, TAC and then Dome over the last couple of years, really engaging again with the right people, with the Spode and Wilsons, with the Dome Technologies to move forward on this and to go through a design process that allowed us, I went the wrong way there too, that allowed us to, as Ryan mentioned, address a lot of the things that we know needed to be addressed in the Dome, which I feel a little silly talking to you all about, because as I look across the room, many of you have spent many more nights in the Dome than I have over the years. But if you think back to what that facility looked like over the 55 years it had been from 67 to 22, the wood seats needed work. They needed to be replaced. We were losing the shorings that went into the concrete for many of the seats. And we had rows roped off because they were pulling out of the rides of the concrete. The floor had gotten to the point where we were down to our last resurface. We could not resurface again. We were going to need to redo the floor. The HVAC, there were 26 HVAC units across the top there. Only about half of them were actually working at that point. So we knew we needed to have HVAC work done. So all of these things are reaching end of life. So it really provided the opportunity to work together to not only do what we needed to do to secure the roof, but also to do all the other pieces that just needed to be refreshed after 50 years. So that really started the process. You can kind of see again some of the things that we were looking at when it came to the seating that was original, the floor, ADA certainly had happened since the Dome was constructed, so the railings weren't where they needed to be. That back entrance, if you've ever come in the back entrance, it was not where it needed to be from an ADA parking standpoint, from an accessibility standpoint. So it really just gave us the opportunity to not only address, again, the ceiling structure, but also just all of the other things that we needed to do to make it an asset, like Ryan mentioned, that for the next 50 years will be modernized and ready to roll. So we engaged with Thompson and Litton really to then start thinking about what are the options to how to handle this, because we really did want to, and we knew it was going to be important for you all, that we maintain the integrity of what that structure was, what that looked like. So we looked at a lot of different options of what we could do to do that. And one of them, which really isn't a piece of this, was do we take the dome off? Do we build a whole new structure? But that was something that from a historical standpoint, we felt our community really would want to maintain the appearance, maintain the history and the heritage of that building. So that took us kind of to the, okay, now then what? And Thompson Litton came up with 3 really great ideas and options of how we could move forward.
Yes, sir. So as Andy said, along with Steve Wilson and Dome Technologies, our folks looked at the 3 different options. Option number 1 is basically coming in and putting in a steel structure below the existing wood members. And it looks similar to that. It's a little bit changed from when this was done. This presentation was originally done for the school board back in December of 2022?
Yes.
Yep. So this was option number 1. And that included new steel beams underneath all the wood members, a new ceiling, new lights, all those sorts of things up at the top of the dome. This was the option that was the lowest risk, the cheapest of the 3 options, and it was also the quickest of the 3 options. Option number 2 was basically coming in on top of the existing. There's what they call a ring beam, concrete ring beam that goes all the way around the top of the building. Option number 2 was basically coming in and adding to that ring beam at the top, and then basically putting a new surface over top of the building. It was going to be more expensive, and it was going to take much longer to do, and there were a lot more unknowns with that. And then option number 3 was basically going in and redoing the entire wood structure and putting in something else over the top. That was going to be even more expensive, and it was going to be also the longest in terms of the amount of time. So ultimately, we decided on option number 1. You can see here, we put this ranking document together, and option number 1 was the cheapest, most cost effective, and also time, in terms of the time, it was also the best in terms of the constructability. So as Andy said, some of the things that we looked at doing in addition to the roof structure was the floor replacement, bleacher replacement, brand new seats, a four-sided center hung video board, which you'll see here in a minute, ADA upgrades, lighting upgrades, new HVAC in the entire building, new basketball goals, fire sprinkler upgrades, media technology upgrades. So there were a lot of things that were done in addition to the actual replacement and repair of the roof. And then as part of this project, we also are redoing the inside of the dome lobby and also the outside, and you'll see some pictures of the outside also coming up. And then Andy had also mentioned ADA. We've got some new ADA parking out back, and we've addressed some other things, new boilers as part of the project, new access controls. So again, it wasn't just the roof, it sort of morphed into a 50-year renovation of the entire building.
So yeah, we looked at a lot of different things. Again, a lot of people, I think, we've had conversations along the way and said, well, while you were there, why did you not do this or that? And we've always kind of joked that, well, because it was a $21 million project, not a $25 million project. And wanted to be good stewards of taxpayer funds while we did this, but at the same time address needs and create really an environment that our whole community would be proud of. For events, but also for the day-to-day use from the school. So some little things, we started looking at adding some parking. We originally had a design, again, this is on the back side, you can see the track here and where the dome sits. We have added a lot. It ended up being, once we did the final design, about 56 parking places. If you've ever been hunting for a parking place on an event or on campus, you know it's always at a premium. So to be able to add some parking, and also, we'll talk here in a minute, that back entrance will become, with additional ADA parking, more of a focal entry point for events, beyond just entering on the front side as well. And we've really tried to make that space really attractive and to brand that and to honor kind of the heritage of the district, which we'll talk about. Again, one of the things we looked at was, do we potentially expand the auxiliary gym? That again is used every day for PE classes, but also for basketball practice and other activities. This is something we decided not to do. Again, why it was not a $5 million project. Because what we wanted to do in that space, kind of our main goals, was to make it more usable for the school, also address some acoustic issues in there. If you've ever been in that gym, it's impossible to hear. It was just a cacophony of noise. So we'll show you what that looks like in a minute. But we ended up not doing that, but we did a lot of work really to dress that up. New floor, new goals. It looks really great. We also looked at some other improvements, for instance, in the weight room and the wrestling room, making some improvements there. Appreciative of the fact that even just this past week at our board meeting, we approved the purchase of some wrestling mats, so to improve that student area as well. Also, a lot of improvements to locker rooms, try to touch on areas students were going to use most often. So locker rooms, security issues as well that we dealt with in those areas in the team rooms. And then this is, again, these were some initial renderings. One of the things that we had a lot of conversations about was, how do we, in an attractive way, handle what was becoming, though it's an iconic, and certainly we wanted to prioritize all of the All-State athlete photos and how we handle those. But given, think back to when the last time you were in that space, we were having to add new All-State photos on sidewalls and ceilings, and what could we do to really maintain those photos and all of that history and heritage, and to be able to do it though in a way that kind of established where we could be in the long term in a high class, impressive way. And so The back hallway, what was the back hallway, which will now be more of the main entrance, really has turned more into kind of like a Hall of Fame kind of area where we really are proud of what we've been able to do there to address and really honor our all-state athletes, as well as the parade that will be in the front lobby to recognize the history of our district. So I think you'll be hopefully really pleased as these things are installed over the next few weeks and we get back in there to see how we have, again, been able to brand and continue to honor the history of UB athletics throughout that way. Here's the front area right now. It's basically a clean slate, but we wanted to be able to go in and have that front area to continue to honor the heritage. Something that's a little bit overlooked, but probably was at the high on the list for us as a priority was the activities office. If you've ever been in the activities office, if you bought your football tickets, if you've gone in to buy a shirt, if you think about the process from the school system security with my security hat on, any guest that was coming in to make that transaction or to deal with something with activities had to actually physically walk into the student area of the school. For 99% of the folks that came to visit us, that was not a problem. However, from a security standpoint, whenever we think about bringing outside public into schools in this day and age, certainly we want to make sure we're doing what we can and what we need to do from a security standpoint. So what we have done is we have completely redesigned the activities office to where outside guests don't actually come into the school. They have a separate entrance now where they can come and interact with our activity staff, but not actually come into the physical school space. That is a massive security improvement for us, and that is of this whole project, one of the things we're most pleased about, to be able to create a safe and a welcoming environment for guests that come in, but at the same time, not having them come into the actual student space when they do that. So I think we've got some pictures. Ryan, you're going to kind of walk through what it looks like right now.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
And then we'll take some questions.
All right, so we started working on the project in early 23, I guess it was. Yep. And we bid the project in September of 2023. Preston Construction, we had two general contractors bid on the project, J.A. Street and Preston Construction. And Preston Construction was the low bidder. They began construction in 2023. The plan was to have everything completed by basically March of 2025. They are about a couple months ahead of schedule. And so here in the next couple of months, we should be complete with the project. So obviously the first thing that had to be done was all the demolition. So you can see here all of the floor being removed, all the seats being removed. And again, they had to work around all that scaffolding until they got the new roof construction in place where they were able to remove the scaffolding. So you can see the seats being removed, the bleachers being removed, the floor being removed. And that was basically the start of the project in November of 2023. And between December and January 2023 and January 2024, some demolition continued. We started looking at the new ceiling, and I've got a piece of what the new ceiling is I'd like to pass around. The original, you can see the original ceiling was a material called Insulrock. The company that makes it is no longer in business. So we, as part of the project, as I mentioned earlier, we tried to keep as consistent with the new work versus what was there previously. So we have provided a new material up there, and they're passing around that sample. It's called Tectum. It's made by Armstrong, and that material that you see in those triangles is basically what the new ceiling looks throughout the entire building. In February of 2024, as we talked about earlier, the old mechanical units, they were inside of the dome itself at the very top. Those have been moved to the roof outside of the building with new ductwork going in. In these pictures, you can see the new steel that is going in underneath all of the existing wood members. And those are basically 8-inch deep steel beams, and they are provided by Hennard Metal here in town. And so each of the old pieces of wood have a 8-inch piece of steel and a new ring that goes all the way around. And to support all this, so we did not overload the structure of the building, There are two 1-inch deep by 16-inch steel plates that go all the way around the top of the dome, and you can see that right here. And there are columns that bring the load down to the top of the seating bulk. Moving on, March, the steel work continued. We started looking at the ceilings. We started looking at what we were going to do to address where the old mechanical units go. And you'll see these little boxes all the way around the top of the dome when we get further into the pictures here. April of 24, you can see the steel as it goes up towards the middle, and you can see where here in this picture where the scaffolding started coming down as they got further up to the top of the dome, and you can also see the stuff going on the roof that basically tied the entire system, the old construction and the new construction together. May of 2024, you can see the new ceiling going in. You can also see the new ductwork. The new ductwork rings all the way around the top, so there's some consistency in the look all the way around the circle. June of 2024, you see the new structure that supports the new tectum ceiling. You can see the new LED light fixtures going in, and you see all of the pieces of equipment that were there on the floor. July of 2024, you see all the new ceiling going in along with the lights. You see the ductwork ringing all the way around. August of 2024, that continued. September, you see the new light, the lenses for the new light fixtures going in. You can see that here, especially here in the center picture. And you also see the new sound system going in. That's a JBL designed sound system that sits over top of the four-sided video board. Here in this right picture, you can see the video board as it was down here at the floor before they lifted it into place. October of 2024, you see the new floor going in, the new wood floor going in. You see the four-sided video board in place. You see all the work that's being done out in the plaza outside of the main entrance. And these pictures were taken last week. You can see all the new seats have been installed, the four-sided video board, obviously, and they are currently in the process of installing the new bleachers. And I've got I've got 5. You can pass these around. If you remember what I mentioned earlier, the old bleachers, they sort of followed the circle. So at the center of the basketball court, the bleachers were the furthest away from the basketball court. So the new bleachers, they are not like that at all. Ryan's going to pass out some drawings that show how the new bleachers are going to look, and they're going to be much closer at the center of the basketball court versus what was there previously. Some photos of the exterior plaza. You can see it was this concrete area out front previously. We put in new pavers, new concrete. Those large circles are going to have some precast concrete benches that will be placed there along with some landscaping. We have new aluminum storefront windows and entrances coming off of that plaza. The lobby, as Andy mentioned earlier, we've completely redone the lobby with new ceilings, new lighting, and there will be new display cases and some interactive, how would you describe that? Interactive video that addresses the history of Dobyns-Bennett, so on and so forth. Andy mentioned the auxiliary gym earlier. The old basketball court was removed. A new court has been installed along with new acoustical panels both on the ceiling and on the walls. And that was a picture that was taken a couple of weeks ago before they started working on the bleachers. So you can see an overall of the building. So you can see the ceiling, which is that tectum material. All of those pieces, those gray pieces, those are the 1,300 pieces of 8-inch deep steel that has been installed underneath all of the old wood members. And that's it.